All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the American Nightmare Podcast. This is episode 43, recorded October 28th, 2021.
Happy Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Halloween edition, I would call it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, episode 43, man. We are moving right along, huh?
Yeah. It's getting really hard to start thinking of top 5 lists.
Right?
I know I threw one out and hoped it would
That was a
stick to
good
the
one.
wall.
That was a good one. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let's start with some horror news. New movie, Black Friday, starring Devon Sawa and Bruce Campbell, is going to be on Netflix.
Looks good.
Yes. Here's the summary of it. On Thanksgiving night, a group of disgruntled toy store employees beleagueredly arrive for work to open a store at midnight for the busiest shopping day of the year. Meanwhile, an alien parasite crashes to Earth on a meteor, and this group of misfits, led by store manager Jonathan, Bruce Campbell, longtime employee Ken, Devon Sawa, soon find themselves battling against the horrors of holiday shoppers who have been turned into monsters, creatures hell-bent on murderous rampage on Black Friday.
When's that coming out?
Sounds just like regular people.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. I didn't see the release date. I just saw the trailer pop up this week, so
I threw it on the Facebook page when I saw it.
I assume it's coming out next month at some point.
I would think so,
It
yeah.
makes sense for
Looks
around the
good.
Thanksgiving time, right?
Yeah.
And actually, we brought this up a couple episodes ago. 2 episodes ago, I brought this up that there was going to be a new horror movie starring Bruce Campbell and Devon Sawa, which Devon is from things like, what was that, Idle Hands.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Who's in another horror movie? Hold on, I think I have it here somewhere. He was in Final Destination.
Okay,
He was
yeah.
he was in
I know that cat.
yeah, I mean he's pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of stuff recently, but yeah.
Yeah, some of those guys who were in the teenagers in a bunch of 90s movies kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Jason Biggs. You don't see him in anything anymore.
No, you don't, do you? Right? Yeah. I wonder why what happened to him. Like I think he probably wound up. He was in a couple things, maybe, right? Recently,
Yeah.
like some weird. He was in Orange Is the New Black or whatever.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I never watched that, so.
Shudder has acquired a stylish vampire movie called Dead and Beautiful. I got the trailer for that, which I'll post on our website and also on the Facebook feed. The summary of this movie is in Dead and Beautiful, 5 rich, spoiled Asian 20-somethings are suffering from upper class. I don't know what that word is. ENNUI.
NUI?
NUI? Yeah. Unsure how to spend their days, so little is expected from them. In search of excitement, the 5 friends from The Circle, a group where they take turns designing new, unique, extravagant experiences for the others. But things go wrong when their privileged urbanites awaken after a night out to find that they have developed vampire fangs and an unquenchable thirst for human flesh and blood. And they are ready for adventure at any price. Seems interesting. I think it's a foreign film because it had a lot of Japanese people in it, but Shudder has acquired it. It's going to be on Shudder next month.
Cool. Sounds interesting.
And apparently it did well in some of the the circles of movie competitions and whatnot, right? I made a note here, and I talked to you guys about this before. I thought it was interesting. Zillow has listed the Nightmare on Elm Street house for sale in Los Angeles, northern Hollywood, for $3.25 million. It's like 2,300 square foot house, but the cool thing is, like, they even listed it as the Nightmare on Elm Street house in Zillow, which is kind of funny.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I looked at an article about a month ago, and it had all of the houses like up for sale, like what not up for sale, but what
What
their
their
actual
value
worth
was.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
And like they did the Amityville house, and they're all like, in these expensive places. Nothing's like less than $1 million. Any of these houses.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I
Yeah.
couldn't
And then
believe
you put on
it.
the horror connected to it, and that just adds value to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, my daughter and I, we did drive up to Pasadena last week and checked out the Halloween 1978 Halloween house, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. That one just sold last year for $2.5 million? 2.5. It's a little smaller than the Nightmare on Elm Street house. And actually, if you look at the Zillow listing for the Nightmare on Elm Street house, quite beautiful on the inside. 2,700
my sister,
square
yeah,
foot.
yeah, my sister lives in North Carolina, and she was at Wilmington Beach last weekend. Her son goes to college down there, so she was laying on the beach drinking. It was warm enough. So apparently they filmed Halloween Kills down there, and she said they had still some of the like ambulances, cop cars that said Haddondale Police and stuff. So she took some pictures.
Oh,
Nice,
that's cool.
Nice.
They still had some of that stuff around town, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if did you guys watch the new Halloween movie?
Yes, I
Chris
did.
did. I didn't because it got 3 duties from Chris.
Yeah, I regret going to see it. So
I actually spent the $5.99 to buy Peacock for the month and watched it on my couch. Thank God.
I went to the theaters and I was so angry.
Oh man,
Yeah.
like
It went on one of the sites right away because it was on Peacock. I guess it's easy for them to grab it.
Yeah.
Like
Instead of the cam version. Yeah.
This is the way. Like, remember when the previous one came out? We were all like saying, "Oh, it's gonna suck because they've all been terrible. It's gonna be garbage," and it was actually a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. I was like, "Oh, nice." So this one, I'm like, okay, well, they did a good job with the last one. This should be good. And
then you're like, what the fuck mess is this?
And there's going to be a third one? I'm like, do we really need the third one? I probably won't watch it. But.
Yeah, I definitely am not going to give it one this time around. Like, I was giving it benefit of doubt because the last one, like you said, wasn't so bad. And then I just was completely disappointed. Nice cat asshole in the picture there. That's fantastic.
This guy, he wants me to feed him. He's being a dick.
Nice.
Well, he stuck his asshole right in the camera.
Chapelwaite, a full Stephen King series will be available on video on demand starting this month.
I started watching it.
Yeah, so Epix, it was on Epix, and if you subscribe to Epix on Amazon Video, you can get it from there. It's set in the 1850s. This comes from a short story called Jerusalem's Lot, which is in the book Night Shift, which had a bunch of great little stories in it. It was a pretty good story, and I'm hoping that this is a pretty good show. I'd like to see it, but I don't know that I want to subscribe to Epix to get it.
You can watch it on.
Yeah, Craig, when you said you started watching it, you made it kind of like you're not digging it, or
I am. I just it's a little slow moving.
Okay. Well, I mean,
but I only made it like 2 or 3 in, and then I got caught up in other stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna jump back on it.
Gotcha.
Well, turning a short story into a full series is kind of might be a bit of a stretch, I would say. But
the girl from Schitt's Creek is in it. What was her name? Sam.
Yeah, Adrian Brody is in it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I dig him.
Yeah, I mean, there's some.
But
decent
the acting's kind of that's why I was like sort of. But I mean, the story's it's interesting.
Yeah. So the summary of this one is really set in the 1850s. A series follows Captain Charles Boone, which is Adrian Brody, who relocates his family and 3 children to an ancestral home in the small, seemingly sleepy town of Preacher's Corner, Maine, after his wife dies at sea. However, Charles will soon have to confront his secrets of his family's sordid history and fight to the end darkness that has plagued the Boones for generations. Army of the Dead 2 is going to begin filming Zack Snyder's sequel to Army of the Dead on Netflix.
I didn't see the first one.
Yeah, the title of this one is going to be called Planet of the Dead.
I thought I heard too that there's like a prequel or something that goes along with that, and it's all about the thief.
Yeah, my understanding is there's like a short story prequel, like a
Okay.
small video or something like that. I haven't seen it, but I have seen some people talking about it, and I tried looking for it and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I think I just saw that this week. I mean, saw that it was out there or coming out.
Yeah, A Quiet Place is going to be a video game coming from
Really?
Saber Interactive. Yeah, A Quiet Place video game will let fans experience the tension of the films with a level of immersion that they have not felt before.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this should be interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
It'd probably make a good virtual reality game.
Yeah, I think is that what it is because it says it's this Saber Interaction partnered with Epitome.
I don't know.
It doesn't say that it's going to be that, but that would kind of be cool actually if it were that. Yeah.
Scare the crap out of you.
The only problem with the virtual reality games is if you want to buy like one of those, virtual reality headsets, you have to have a fucking Facebook account because you have to log into Facebook to use it. And
it's crap.
I have a Facebook account, but it's not a legit one because I fucking hate Facebook.
Meta. They changed their name now. It's Meta.
Yeah, Meta. Someone needs to reboot the Zuckbot because he's a fucking retard. Meta. Mr. Harrigan's Phone is going to be a new Netflix film based on Stephen King's short story. This is reported on Deadline. I'll have the link to the story on our website, and we'll post that on the Facebook. But Mr. Harrigan's Phone is one of 4 short stories, once again, in a collection of novellas called If It Bleeds by Stephen King. It centers around Craig, a young boy living in a small town where he befriends an older, reclusive billionaire, Mr. Harrigan. The two form a bond over books and an iPhone. But when the man passes away, the boy discovers that not everything dead is gone and finds himself able to communicate with his friends from the grave through the iPhone that was buried with him.
Interesting.
Yes.
Sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for the new Evil Dead Welcome to Raccoon City movie that's coming out. Apparently, this is a full reboot of the Evil Dead series. Not like
Resident
they needed
Evil.
it. Yeah.
Resident Evil, you mean?
Yeah, Resident Evil. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't I not say Resident Evil?
Like Evil Dead, oh.
What did I say? No, Resident Evil. Yeah. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Yeah.
I did see the trailer. It looked pretty good. It kind of reminded me of like the very first video game.
I think they're trying to be more like the video game than the adaptations that they've done before. Now, Resident Evil in the past, how many movies did they have? Like, isn't it like 6 or 7 fucking movies or something like that?
Yeah.
So they're like wiping the slate
Some of
clean
them were
and
like
rebooting it.
Some were live action, some were animated too, right?
Yeah.
Did both.
Little summary here of that. Once the booming home of pharmaceutical giant Umbrella Corporation, Raccoon City is now a dying Midwestern town. The company's exodus left the city a wasteland with a great evil brewing below the surface. And when the evil is unleashed, the townspeople are forever changed, and a small group of survivors must work together to uncover the truth behind the umbrella and make it through the night.
Nice. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer of those dogs that scared the crap out of me in the video game the first time I played it. They were like prowling around, and I was like, "Oh shit, there's them dogs."
Yeah. Another Joe Hill TV series, Lock and Key. I don't know if you watched the first season on Netflix, but Lock and Key season 2 is now online.
It's pretty good.
That was that trailer you posted, right?
Which one was that?
Like yesterday, like it started out like looking like it was like a horror movie, and then it like switched to like maybe I'm thinking of something.
I don't think I posted a Lock and Key trailer. I'm trying to think of what I posted. What did I post? Black Friday I posted Night Teeth, The Splattering, which was kind of a
Splattering.
comedy horror.
Maybe it was a commercial for Lock and Key that was just,
might have been.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Lock and Key sort of a fantasy horror type.
Yeah. I think I remember you guys talking about it the first season, and you said it was really good.
It's good.
It gave me great amount of anxiety, and I imagine that season 2 will give me a similar amount of anxiety.
Yeah. The trailer for the Black Phone looked really, really, really good.
Yeah, that looks creepy.
Yes, that looks really, really good. I like that one.
Yeah,
I'll-
looks
We
pretty
talked about that a little bit, but they didn't have the trailer out yet. I just
yeah,
saw
now
it.
the trailer's out. Yeah,
Really
and
good.
we have The Splattering, which is another horror movie, survival movie that's coming out on Netflix, and also Sandman, which I did post a trailer for that, which is an adaptation of the Sandman from DC Comics, Dark Horse Comics. And I forget what story they're adapting, but Sandman to me was always a great kind of scary horror comic. And I'm kind of looking forward to see what Netflix does with it.
Well, let's go on Netflix.
Yeah, say.
I don't think I looked at that trailer yet. I'll have to
That's
check
one
that
that
one.
should go. That's one that should go right to HBO Max. No,
Speaking of HBO Max,
Possibly.
well, that's part of Marvel. No,
no, Marvel, HBO Max is DC, so you would think that it would have gone there, but it's on
Yeah.
Netflix. Netflix signed a deal with them, but you heard about the deal going on with Warner and Discovery. So AT&T is going to be selling off the Warner part of the company, Warner Media, over to Discovery. And they're going
Really?
to rebrand. They're talking about rebranding HBO Max into Warner Max, and it will have all of the Warner property media on it.
Huh. Warner Max.
Yeah. Well, it's good because AT&T is a shitty company, and I feel like shit giving them my money to have HBO Max. But I won't feel so bad anymore once they sell to Discovery. All right, that's all I got for news. You guys have anything?
Just some stuff that I watched over the last like month. I mean, like Craig and I were talking about Midnight Mass. That's a pretty good series done by Mike Flanagan, the guy who did
Haunting a Hill House.
Yeah, Haunting
right?
a Hill House and The Haunting
Yeah.
of Bly Manor. It's got that same kind of
Sure.
slow burn, kind of eerie. Definitely deals a lot with religion in this one. It's kind of funny. Like, I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I was sitting watching an episode, and my daughter yells, and I was like, "Dad, are you watching church on TV?" And I was like, "No, it's this Midnight Mass show that really revolves a lot around the church, but it's really good."
Nothing like religious horror.
So
Yeah.
no, he hit pretty good with this one. Like
Yeah.
Bly Manor, I thought was garbage.
Yeah,
But
why did I end up finishing it? Because you guys said how bad it was.
Well, that's the thing. Mike Flanagan does some great shit. He makes a lot of great movies. Just look at
And
Doctor
he
Sleep.
has, the same actors that he uses too. He used a lot of the same actors
Yeah.
that he does. The girl that did Gerald's Game, and she was also in The Haunting of Hill House.
And in Bly Manor, too.
I think that girl who plays like the main girl in is his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what her name is, but yeah, she's been in a bunch of his stuff.
Is it like Rebecca Flanagan or something like that? I
don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Also, we touched briefly on the shitty Halloween Kills movie, and I also watched the latest Purge, the Forever Purge. That was a good flick. I dug it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
did you guys watch the Eli Roth shows?
I've been watching that. Yeah, it's been the most recent one. Was,
not as good as last season.
The psychic one was like kind of meh, but this last one was pretty good. It was like Armageddon, like the end, end world kind of horrors.
Yeah.
But the other ones that are out right now are the movies that made us. Have you watched any of those?
Yeah,
yet?
those were awesome. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just started watching the Alien one last night, and I started getting tired, so I only watched like halfway through. Sorry, not Alien, Aliens.
Yes. Yeah.
But the Halloween one was really good, and the Nightmare on Elm Street one was really good.
The Halloween one was good too. Yep.
Yeah. That's it for me. Those are just some of the things I've been up to since
Excellent.
it's October.
Excellent. Yeah, I watched Night Teeth, which I posted a trailer for that up on Facebook, which it was a pretty good movie. It's an interesting spin on vampire movies, something different, something you haven't seen before, and I liked it. It was like a mix between like L.A. vampire gangs versus human gangs and their different territories in the Los Angeles area. It was pretty interesting.
I also wrapped up the brand new Cherry Flavor. If you guys haven't,
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It looks pretty
really
good.
Really good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's Netflix, right?
Yep.
And that's horror or like horror-esque?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Been playing any games?
No, there hasn't been anything. Actually, I finished Layers of Fear 2.
Was it good?
Not as good as the first one, but yeah.
I think that's all I got.
Can't find my fucking top 5 list. Hold on a minute. All right, we're gonna go to our top 5 list. This week it is. This month it is the top 5 movies with dolls or puppets. And this week the order will be Chris, Craig, Sal. And while you guys are talking, I gotta find my list.
I'm gonna say you could change the order too until you find your list, but that worked out that order.
Okay, so this one.
Talk real slow, eh?
So this one, I know that. Anyway, so this one, I realized as I put this list together, James Wan makes a lot of movies with dolls in them.
Yes.
And as I'm like going through my list here, I'm like, wow, it's a lot of James Wan movies. So my number 5 is Saw, and even though the doll / puppet in it isn't really the
no, it is
protagonist in it. Like he plays a pretty key role, right? Like that creepy little doll with the tap shoes on.
for sure.
He's in like every one.
Yep.
So that's my number 5.
I think his name is Billy, isn't it?
Billy, yes, and there's something to that too that I'll touch on in a bit. Number 4 is Annabelle Creation.
Okay, so you're specific with. Okay.
Yeah, because there was like 3 of them, and there's also all the Conjuring movies, but I went specifically with this one.
No, I agree.
I liked how they went back to like where it kind of started, like how the doll was made.
Yeah.
It was a pretty creepy movie. Like they do a pretty good job creeping you out.
Yeah, they all were. I think they were good. Yeah.
Number 3 is The Boy.
Yep.
Thought it was a great concept. Blew my mind at the end of that movie. Like the whole movie, I was like, really? It's got to be like a possessed doll or some shit like that.
No, I know. That was a twist at the end, right? For sure.
And it was a creepy twist too. It
was very fucked up.
Did I have that on my list for movies with twist endings? I think I might have.
Yeah. It ends up just being their fucked up son, like hiding in the walls and
Part
shit.
2 smells like manure.
Well, I wouldn't even I was like, how do you make a sequel to that? Like
you don't.
Yeah, right. Like, how do you even bother? Like, I was like, I don't get it. Like, how do you?
No, it was terrible.
Number 2 for me is Dead Silence.
Okay.
Yep.
Another James Wan.
Love
And
that one.
the funny thing is the main doll in that's named Billy.
Okay.
The two dolls in Dead Silence and Saw were kind of modeled after each other, and that's why they're both named Billy.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And then I think we talked about Dead Silence, right? Like I think that's been in other ones.
Oh yeah, it pops up in a lot of my lists because it's.
And then number 1 is Child's Play. This it was at the time it came out. Like now you kind of think about how the physics of that whole thing works, but it was a great slasher when it came out. It was something different, and
I remember that one scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah, like it was pretty brutal. You wouldn't think you're making it a horror. I mean, it was a slasher movie, but like it's got a doll in it. How bad could it be?
Yep.
It was pretty gruesome. 2 honorable mentions: Puppet Master, the original. I don't think I've ever watched any of the other in the series.
Yeah, I haven't.
There's probably like
just
a dozen
just
of them.
the original one, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a great movie, great concept. I enjoyed all the different like puppets that he had, and it was cool. And then I also liked the Child's Play remake. I thought that was a great great way to like bring it back.
I didn't see that one yet.
No, it's good.
Is that the one that they have an app on their phone and you sort of
you
sort of updated it?
Yeah. So they went completely away from the original that the doll became possessed by a
voodoo
satanic killer.
Yeah. And this is more like a computer bug, like a glitch.
You got to remember that the original Child Play came out during the whole Satanic Panic time, and that's when they They had,
Yeah.
the whole like fucking Satanism in almost every horror movie back then.
Yeah. Satan
Yeah,
was
there was a
every
big
corner.
topic on like Geraldo and Sally Jesse Raphael, right?
Right.
Satanism is your kid practicing.
Right.
It's
I
like,
remember we had some freaks in our neighborhood, like when you'd go trick or treating, they would put those little tracks in your, like, instead of candy, they'd give you those Bible tracks and shit.
yeah.
Because they were
Dude,
trying to save your
They
soul.
still hand that shit out.
Celebrating the devil's holiday.
Right.
Just give me some candy. Damn it. That's it for my list.
Nice.
Okay. Nice list.
Thanks.
All right. My number 5, I went with The Boy.
Nice.
Number 4, I went with Child's Play.
Nice.
Number 3, I was on the fence with this one, but I felt that it was in the movie enough, and it sort of, it definitely. I went with Poltergeist for the clown.
Oh yeah, the clown.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're
Because
right.
as soon as you because they showed it early in the movie, right? And it's like sitting on the chair, and you're like, oh man, that thing's. And I was like, that thing's gonna do something stupid.
Dude, that thing made me afraid of clowns for years.
I was already afraid of clowns. That made it worse. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Maybe I blacked it out because I, was trying to not relive that childhood trauma.
No, I know. I like went to bed that night, and I was like, I didn't even have the clown, but I was like, because it went under the bed, and that was like, that's what did it for me, right?
Oh yeah, that was real creepy.
I was like, under the bed. The clown's under my bed.
Can't sleep. Me. Can't sleep. Clowns will eat me.
Number 2, I went with Annabelle.
Nice.
I'll go just the whole shoot match with that.
Gotcha.
And number 1, I went with Dead Silence.
Hey.
Number 1.
Nice.
Number 1. And then I had some honorable mentions, Trilogy of Terror.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one with the Zuni fetish dolls.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't recall that one.
Yep. And
Is that like an 80s one or?
Karen Black. What was that her name? Karen Black. Yeah,
That's right. Karen Black, right? She was in a lot of Rob Zombie movies too until she died.
Yes. And I watched one. It was weird with her in it the other night. It was like on Turner Classic Movies. What the heck was it called? I don't know. But Betty Davis was in it. I was like,
oh, wow.
Karen Black.
That's weird.
Yeah, like
she must have been pretty young then, huh?
She was very young. But it was interesting. Anyway, it was bad. But like I said, it was on like late at night, and I was going to bed, and I watched on Turner Classic. But anyhow, and the other one I had was Tourist Trap. I guess you can just consider the mannequin sort of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Dummy dolls, whatever.
Yeah. I would go with that.
Did you watch that one yet, Chris?
I don't think that's
you have to watch it.
That's from a couple years ago, right? Like,
no, that's
it's an
70s.
old one. Yeah, that's an old one.
Really? Yeah, I don't know what I don't know it then. Tourist Trap.
Definitely worth seeing though. It's quite a good movie.
Yep.
Actually, you had it on a couple different lists, right? I remember you brought it up on a couple.
Yeah, I have.
So we've probably had this conversation before then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And and Eli Roth should have talked about that movie with the remember the psychic power.
Yeah, you know what? Now you say that he did, and I did think.
Did he?
I believe you're right. Yeah, I think he did.
I don't remember. I said if he did, if he didn't, he should have.
No, I'm almost positive he did.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah, no, you have to watch it for sure.
Did you find your list? Or
Yeah, I did find my list, but I wanted to Google something because I'm getting old and I forget things. All right, so my number 5. Now, this one I know I talked to you guys about back in 2018 because my therapist at the time that I was going to recommended this to me. We used to talk back and forth about like our favorite horror movies, our favorite metal bands and shit. And he said, you got to check this one out. It scared the shit out of him for a long time. And I went and I watched it. It was on Netflix at the time, and it was fucking great. So anyway, my number 5 is called Magic from 1978, starring Anthony Hopkins, Anne Margaret, Burgess Meredith. What a fucking amazing movie. And Anthony Hopkins plays the creepiest fucking dude on the face of the earth. Yeah, it is a
It's on Netflix right now.
It's a fantastic movie. And if it's not on Netflix, I bet you can get it on Amazon because it is a classic.
Yeah, it might be on Tubi. I was flipping through and I think I saw it pop up. So
yeah.
Pretty creepy, huh?
Yeah, Magic.
I saw it a long time ago.
Just look up the trailer. And I don't know how I missed it because this was such a great movie. I'm like, there's no way as a kid I didn't watch this, but I swear I didn't. I don't remember any of it. And when I watched it, I
remember
loved
watching it, but I don't remember it. You know what I mean? That's how long ago it was for me. But,
yeah, Anthony Hopkins is like a failing ventriloquist. He's losing his job. He's losing his girlfriend. He's losing his apartment. And his Burgess Meredith is his fucking agent. It's just it's a great movie. It's
get him, kid.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic movie. My number 4 is Child's Play, of course. That one scared the living shit out of me as a kid, and I even rewatched it with my daughter last year, and I think it still holds up pretty good.
It does for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, real
Brad Dourif, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, quick, because we're talking about Child's Play and we all have it enlisted. Either of you watched the new series?
No.
I watched the first episode and they have Brad Dourif doing the voice of him again.
Really? That's awesome.
So it's actually a pretty cool concept.
What's the series on, Chris?
Sci-fi, I think. And I think
okay.
we only have 3 episodes so far. I watched the first one and I liked it. And supposedly the second episode's good too. Anyway, this kid who collects antiques and stuff like that finds the Chucky doll at a
nice.
yard sale or something like that. And he takes it home and it's good. So you guys should check it out.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, nice. My number 3 is Annabelle.
Nice.
The original one. I really like that one. My number 2 is Puppet Master, 1989. Love that movie. I remember watching it. I think it might have been at my aunt's house, and she rented it on VHS. And
that was always a cool one that always jumped out at you at the video store.
The cover was awesome on it. Yeah,
all these dolls were cool. It wasn't a bad movie. It was pretty good.
There's a dozen of them too. I think they had a whole universe almost.
Yeah. My number 1 is Dead Silence from 2007, and that's Craig. You and I went to see that, and that was such a fucking great movie.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
And I got 3 honorable mentions. I got my first honorable mention is Dolls from 1987. 1987. That one was pretty fucking scary. Demon Toys again. That's from the 1999.
Demonic Toys.
Demonic Toys. Yeah, 99. I think it might have been that came out.
Yep.
And Trilogy of Terror I threw in there at the end because I almost forgot about that one until you brought it up. So fantastic. Yep. Nice list.
The Zuni fetish doll.
Yeah, that one is a classic.
Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, now let's talk about the movie. And this month's movie, where the hell's my notes here? This month's movie is The Dark and the Wicked. This movie, let me see if I can bring up a quick little.
Is that from 2020? That's last year's movie?
That's
right?
correct. It's 2020. It is a Shudder exclusive. And I was looking up this film because I'm for some reason I remember the trailer or something.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can. And from what I read, this movie did not do very well. $400,000 is its international box office.
Oh, it was in the theaters?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was during November of 2020 that it came out.
Good luck.
There you go.
It really did very poorly, which is very sad.
Well, and the slow burn horrors don't. It's already got the deck stacked against it,
exactly.
And then put it out when there's nothing else, no one's going to the theater. That's that's kind of bad.
Yeah. So let's just talk quickly about the plot overview, right? So Louise and Michael, distant siblings who are brought back to the family farm in Texas where their father's illness, which keeps him bedridden and uncommunicative, cared for by his wife and nurse, worsens. The mother seems disturbed and expresses a desire for the children to leave. At night, she hangs herself in the barn after cutting off her own fingers in the kitchen. And things go crazy after that.
That seems kind of crazy when she's sitting there chopping the onions and the
carrots.
carrots.
I never get creeped out about that shit. You know what was going to happen? And it never bothers me, like when you see people like cut up. But that scene,
The
for some
thing,
reason,
yeah, you know what bothered me?
I got like
She
my
kept
hair stood up on my
Yeah,
arms.
yeah.
She kept chopping him then. Like
That-
she just kept.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's what
that
I
was the part.
And they didn't really show it either.
Yeah.
You could just hear the and that
Yes.
like shit like that never bothers me. But in this movie, I was like, my hair stood up on my arm. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
I'll tell
Yeah.
you why. Because that movie like set like an anxiety in me from the jump.
yeah.
Like,
And it was the music, like the
watched
music
that
too,
movie.
like the soundtrack to that
Yep.
movie. And I think that's what did it too. Is like that, just that music in the background. You know,
It was
like,
great music. It was great like atmosphere. They did a really good job of building, something that's gonna like make you feel anxious. And
Yeah.
I felt anxious.
There was this,
So like you said,
there was this constantly foreboding anxiety that like would not give up for the whole movie. For the whole
Yeah.
movie.
and so that when she did that, like was just you like letting go some of that anxiety because like holy shit, man, it was
Well-
I don't get creeped out by that kind of stuff either usually,
Right.
but
And the thing
but
is,
you,
like,
and you knew it. Like I said, you knew it was going to
Yeah.
happen.
you
Right.
knew it was gonna
You knew it
happen.
was gonna happen.
knew it was going to happen, but then after it happened, they did go back and
Yeah.
show you her like
Oh yeah.
chopping up the fingertips
Pieces.
real fine. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Like,
Yeah.
and she's just cutting up those pieces that are already off her hand. I'm like, well, what like, but then, I wasn't expecting it to go from that to, them finding her in the barn. Like, I was like, what
Yeah.
the,
And
I guess
then,
we should probably,
right. So let's just start off by saying, I didn't know what to expect coming into the
Right.
movie, right? Because I was like, I think I remember seeing a trailer. I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
I kind of did a quick, like, I wonder, like, when did this come out? I looked that up real quick. I looked up Rotten Tomatoes, right?
Mhm.
Which I don't remember even what it's. It got really good viewer or like mediocre viewer response, but really good.
Yeah, critics like it.
Critics really loved it.
Yeah.
What was it called? The Dark and the Wicked. Yeah, there you go. So if I'm just looking at Rotten Tomatoes right now, 91% fresh from critics, and 62% audience score.
Which is still pretty good.
Yeah, but and like I said, when I looked at it, I'm like, wow, it only made $400,000 internationally, and I'm like, oh yeah, they actually released it in the fucking theaters in November of 2020, which, like, who the fuck would do that? What?
Yeah, and wasn't it like the guy who was involved in this movie like was involved in like two other like decent ones if I remember correctly from the
Yeah, and that's why it was like this was going to be a great movie because what was the guy's name? Brian Bertino.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he has directed some other great movies. He has done The Monster, which got 80% of Rotten Tomatoes, and The Black Coat's Daughter, The Strangers, which is the one that everyone was like, yeah, The Strangers. I love that movie.
Yeah,
I can't.
His daughter was pretty good too.
Yeah. But then this came out, and the critics were like, yeah, it's fantastic, and then viewers were like, 62%. It's not.
IMDb
not
gave
horrible,
it a 6.1. I like using IMDb too. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I usually between that and Rotten Tomatoes.
That was a 6.1 on
more
IMDb,
sense.
which is pretty solid for IMDb. It was a 6.1.
Yeah. So, just looking at that, and then to me, the beginning really caught me, right? The very beginning, I'm like, all right, I'm in. You hooked me, I'm in. But then after that, it was like this very slow burn.
Yeah.
There were a couple jump scares,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a few that got me. Like, let's just say, we're gonna talk spoiler.
that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk spoilers here. So if you don't want to get spoiled, pause now, go watch the movie, come back and hear what we have to say about it. The one scene that really got me hard was when the brother was in the barn, and there was only the one goat left,
Oh yeah.
and the fucking spirit of the mom like came out behind him from the wall. I fucking jumped out of my seat. I was like, what the fuck? I did not expect that at all. Like, and they built up the tension to that moment. Like, you knew something was gonna happen, and he's got the knife in his hand, and it's like, what the fuck's gonna happen? And then when the mom jumps out, I'm like, what the fuck? I nearly had a heart attack in my seat right there. That was the one that really got me.
That happened to me when she was showering and her dad was standing there,
Yes.
and he was like his head was like doing like this.
He pissed his pants.
Yeah, he's standing there
it
pissing his
creeped me
pants.
out.
Yeah. So and the way I see it is like, all right, there were a bunch of nice, little scenes. To me, overall, I didn't really care that much for this movie. And let me tell you why. First of all, if you really want to be frightened by this movie, you have to believe in a god.
Yeah.
Like, it's strictly a Christian horror movie is really what it is. And if you're not a Christian and you're an atheist, then like it focused way too hard on the religion aspect of it.
Or the lack
I was gonna say
or lack,
just family.
Yeah, and it really comes down to me is like it's a movie about family.
Well, they were atheists though. The whole family was atheists, right?
Right. So to me, it was a movie about family, but it was also about resentment and
grieving.
And grieving, right? But there was resentment between the family. Like the brother and sister didn't fucking get along very well. And then they
didn't go back to visit their parents.
It didn't sound like they were home very often.
Yeah, it was like, maybe they hated growing up on the farm or whatever, but they were like, once they went off and did their own thing, they were done. That was it.
Do you think they said? Do you think they made them like with all the resentment and hatred in between do you think they sort of point that because they weren't religious? Do you think they purposely made them atheists to say, they're just cold, dark people without religion in their life?
This is an example of a godless family.
Yeah,
that's the way I felt while watching the movie.
And then that priest it showed up and started giving her all those like little like crosses and stuff like that, and she had them all like collected in her pocket. And, like, so then all of a sudden she was like talking about spirituality and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then the things were like the mom was saying, I can hear him. He says horrible things. He comes and he talks and he whispers. He says horrible things or whatever, and it's about the devil and
possessing.
He's here. He's coming. Can't you smell him? Can't you smell the rot? The each of the people that come to the house that are like possessed, like, the uncle's daughter when she came, like, it was just, to me, it was like,
the neighbor guy that took care of him. He just like all of a sudden like.
Yeah. So to me, it was just like a lot of unchained kind of
possession,
religion.
Just like hopped around.
It was like religion horror imagery is kind of what it was.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't, to me, it wasn't coalesced enough. To me, it wasn't like, I don't know. I kind of felt a lot of the time, like looking at my watch going, okay, like what's going on now?
I'm with you. Like I said, okay, like possessed, and then it was like,
there was some like, I like the scene where the brother finally decides he's had enough and goes home.
Yeah,
and that was
shocking.
what I was trying to figure out though. Like how did the if it's a demon or the devil or whatever, follow him home then and that stuff? Like,
they just torture godless families. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I was like, because that scene by itself was depressing and horrid. Like it was just terrible. Like what he walked in on and thought he saw, and then decided he couldn't handle it anymore and killed himself just as his wife and daughter show up, from getting groceries or whatever.
The funny thing is, it kind of had the same impact on me though of the end of The Mist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of felt the same way because it was very shocking to me because when I saw that scene, I was sitting there going, "Oh fuck, his family's dead. Oh my god, what the fuck? How the fuck did the demon like get to them?" Yeah. And then he goes and he kills himself, and as he's slit his throat and he's laying on the ground dying, it turns out none of that was actually fucking there. And I was like, "Oh shit!" And then as you see the mom coming in from the garage, I'm like, "Oh fuck!" That part was, there were a lot of scenes in it that I was like, the gore was pretty good. Like when the nurse was gouging her fucking eyes out with a pencil.
Yeah,
that was an interesting scene too. Like she got possessed. Yeah, and that was a killer scene. But didn't you like? And maybe I'm crazy, but I thought she like smiled, like, because she was religious and a nurse. I think she sort of maybe went to heaven instead of, she like fought off the possession. And because like I said, I thought she's like sort of smiled, right before she sort of
at the
collapsed
end.
or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know, like she saw God or something. I don't know.
Well, that was the other thing I was trying to figure out. Like so the father, he was supposedly being like tortured by the devil.
Yeah.
Or he wanted his soul. Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like, and he was taking his sweet ass time, like with him. But then with the brother and the sister, he started working on them like real quick. Like, you know, they were only there a couple days and they were going nuts.
Yeah.
That nurse had been sitting there for who knows how long watching that dude die, and she was fine. Now all of a
Until
sudden,
the end, yeah.
Now all of a sudden she like
yeah.
I was like, well, what?
But
what
wasn't there a reason like you had to like love the father or something?
Yeah, they did say something about that. No, it's just like she didn't want like him to die alone or something like that. Like,
right.
Yeah. But there was something like that. As long as he was loved, he wouldn't be possessed or something like that. I think somebody sort of said something. I think maybe the nurse I think she said as long as he's loved, like he'll be okay or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I recall what you were talking about. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Sal. Like I thought there was a lot of good parts to it, but they didn't seem to flow very well.
Exactly. To me, like I said, it almost was like a Christian propaganda film. Is kind of the way I felt about it, you know, because all it was really this, you know, Christian imagery. This fucking, you know, the devil's gonna get you if you're not a good person.
Watch Midnight Mass then, so
yeah, but it's different. Different.
I know it's different. It's definitely different. Yeah. It makes you question religion, actually, I think. But
yeah.
So it's interesting, you know, because you know the whispering was kind of cool. Like I tried to listen a couple times to hear if I could tell what the whispering was saying.
Yeah.
Right? Because the whispering was like whispering to everyone. It wouldn't whisper to the nurse. The mom heard the whispering. You would hear it whenever the shit was going on with the daughter. So I was like,
it whispered to goats at some point too, because
yeah. Well, and then at first when, you know, all right, so when they discovered all the dead goats, right?
Yeah.
And then in the evening they go in the barn, there was one goat still alive. Mm-hmm. And the brother was there with the knife, and I'm like, just stab the fucking goat. Maybe the goat is Satan. just you know, like Black Phillip. And that's what I was thinking at first. I'm like, yeah, the goat is Satan. That's what's going on here. The goat is Satan. Just kill the fucking goat.
He's coming out with another movie too. That Eggers guy that did The Witch.
Wasn't that the guy who's doing Lamb? Is that the guy who's doing Lamb?
I think so. Yeah.
Let me look because the Lamb. Let me say I watched a couple. Yeah. Let me see who directed this one. No, a different guy, Vladimir Johansson.
Is that the one with Nicolas Cage?
No, Lamb is an Icelandic film.
Okay.
It looks a lot like Midsommar, right?
Okay.
But so that movie looks really fucking scary. It's supposed to be like a just like Witch was like a
set in like old
yeah, it's based on like a wives' tale or something, like an old mythology, and that's what Lamb is like that too. And
okay.
When I'm watching the trailer for it, it's just like it's an A24 picture, of course, and it looks really fucking good. And all the trailers have like hardly any speaking in it. But anyway, so back to the film that we're reviewing. So I watched it. It was kind of a long film, right? It was like what was it? Like
I think like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, hour and 40 minutes. You know, about an average length, I guess. But it felt long because there were so many moments that kind of like drug on that didn't have to. So many moments that were filled with almost nothingness that didn't have to be.
You got to work. Like the pacing's tough. Like sometimes people can pull it off like a slow movie if it, you know.
And that's why I feel the story was really just shit. Like the script was built around, like I said, it's a Christian propaganda and anti-Christian, you know, these Christian imagery, satanic, you know, you're going to go to hell imagery, pieced together into an hour or 45-minute film that was loosely strung together with a shitty script.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree more with, you know, the viewers saying, you know, 62%. That seems about right. Maybe less even, because it really, you know, it, like I said, a couple of gory scenes that really shocked me. There was a handful of jump scares. One of them that really fucking got me. But
made you anxious for a good chunk of the movie.
It definitely, that's the one thing they did really well, was the combination of the music, the combination of the empty spaces of silence,
Mm-hmm.
all kind of coalesce together to make you just feel anxious and uneasy, but with no real payoff.
Yeah.
Like, even at the end of the film, it wasn't like there was a sudden release, like, oh, good, all right, it's done. It had a shitty, unhappy ending.
It's like, oh, it's over.
Yeah. And actually,
the father sat up and.
Well, the thing that was even the most disturbing of it all is because she's in the bedroom. The blessed candle goes out. She's sitting with her dad. She's saying, "I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm going to stay here with you. You're not going to die alone. Whatever." You hear the brother yelling, like the voice of the brother, like that's the demon taunting her to come out there. You hear the voice of the girl. You hear you hear different voices. And you see a bit of a shadow. So I'm like, oh, fuck, something's going to come in there and get her. Like, finally, we're going to get some resolution to all this anxiety. And then, no. It's like, sucker. And I felt like, oh, fuck. And the movie's over. What?
I get no release.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that's how I felt about the film overall. Like, unfortunately, I was sick, so like that also made the viewing experience a little shitty because it was like all head congested. I was on medication and crap, which may have helped. I don't know. Maybe that even helped the level of anxiety that I felt. I'm sure my blood pressure was high because of all the fucking decongestants and shit I've been taking. But yeah, I mean, if I giving it out of 5 stars, 3. Maybe 2.5, 3.
Yeah, I was thinking 2.5, 3.
I was thinking 3. Like I was trying to. There was enough in the movie that I enjoyed. That again, the story wasn't the best, but there was enough other stuff going on that I enjoyed it enough that a 3 seems good.
Yeah, and then if they would have spent a little more time on coalescing that story together, making you feel something for the characters.
Yeah,
like I didn't feel anything. Like
no,
the part where the brother slit his throat was shocking, but I didn't really feel anything.
Yeah,
for
you
the
didn't
brother.
feel like the mother's real pain for her husband.
No. Even for
well,
the
they
brother.
knocked her off early in the movie too, so you really couldn't grasp that.
But the two main characters, the sister and the brother, they should have developed something. You should have felt something for his death. You should have felt something.
Yeah, but that's the part of the story, though, too, is they didn't give a shit about their parents, really. You know what I mean? They were like,
so why should you give a shit about them?
Yeah, but the thing is, lacking that makes those deaths insignificant. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't give any weight to the story. It doesn't give any weight to those deaths.
Right. And that's okay if it's that kind of movie, but it wasn't trying to be that kind of movie. In slasher movies, you see a lot of teenagers get chopped up that you don't care about because that's the movie. This is trying to be a smart movie.
Right. And
if you're going to be a smart movie, you need to make me care more about the characters if you're going to use that kind of horror.
Yeah, I think the cinematography was great. I think like the soundtrack was great. I think the imagery was really startling. Like there were some really great shots in this film. Mm-hmm. But I think the writer didn't do what he should have done with the story. He didn't. There wasn't a good cohesion to the whole story. Like it just didn't feel complete.
Right.
And that's unfortunately, no matter how good the director is, no matter how good the cinematographer is, if the script is shit, you've got a shit film.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that critics gave it, maybe, and a lot of critics look at films for those characteristics, right? The cinematography, the how it's lit, the whole scene.
The metaphors for grief and
Right, and you know what? Some of that stuff, some of those metaphors for the stages of grief that they were going through, it was right. As a smart person, you're gonna look at it and go, "All right, I kind of get this." But typical viewer's not gonna watch this and go, "Yeah, I get it. It's about grief. It's about you're not gonna get that."
Right.
You're looking to be entertained. You're looking to be scared. You're looking to feel bad. You're looking to feel sad. You're looking to feel, something. And this movie just didn't deliver on that. So I guess overall, we're going to give it, 3 stars?
3. Yeah, 3 star. We'll call 3.
Okay, so there you go. American Nightmare Podcast, The Dark and the Wicked, 3 stars. I'm not going to say don't watch it. Because, you may, a viewer, you may go out there and watch it and go, oh, I love this. You get the whole grief thing. It makes more sense to you. The imagery was more startling to you. Whatever, that's fine.
You're not an atheist?
Yeah, you're not atheist like myself. So to me, it's just like, come on. God's punishing them because they're shitty people. Come on. Then explain why he punishes everyone else too.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So awesome. Is there anything else?
I think we're at an hour, huh?
Yeah, we are. Look at that. All right. So this week we pushed it a little late, because I was sick last week. We would have recorded last week. For next month, let me wrap up this episode real quick and just say to our viewers, thank you again for listening to our podcast. Our viewership is up. We got about 50 more subscribers since last month,
nice.
which
Nice.
is really nice. So that means you guys are talking to each other about this. Continue to tell your friends, continue to spread the word, and thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate you listening to our podcast, because typically we're just here yapping to each other, talking about how much we love horror films and all the great stuff going on with horror films. But now that we got some people listening in, it's making it that much more exciting for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Nice to share.
And as always, if you have suggestions, which guess what? We're running out of top 5 lists, people. Start giving us some lists, man. We're going to run out fast. If you got suggestions for future podcasts, top 5 lists, general feedback, telling us that we suck, telling us that we're great, I don't care. Send us some emails. Feedback.
Movies we should watch and review.
Sure.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's a whole the horror genre has so many subgenres, so many films out there, so many decades worth of horror movies. I'm sure we haven't watched them all, and we talk about the same ones all the time. So give us something else to watch. Tell us something that we haven't talked about that you think would be great for us to watch, maybe even review. Send us an email at feedback@the-american-nightmare.com, or you could visit us on Facebook, The American Nightmare, and drop us a note there. But we want to hear from you. Give us some suggestions, and we will put out another episode next month. Until then, thanks for listening.
All right. Happy Halloween.
Yes, sir.